Hello and welcome, folks, to another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and I have a Floridian guest, which is topical because CEO is just around the corner. You might know him if you're from that area. It's Jocks in a Box. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend, and I have to say, good choice of words and topical, because for those attending, you'll probably need some topical applications to your skin, because it's pretty hot today.
Oh, man, I bet it is. That's like the one thing I saw people are just thinking about this stuff today of, I'm going to Florida. Is it even nice down there? I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Florida, my guy. Like, it's hot. Someone was asking if they need a hoodie, and I'm like, nah, dog. Like,
no, to me, that like seeing someone walking around a hoodie, that kind of brings some questions to mind. But fortunately, it looks like, I mean, today, Wednesday, is the hottest day of the week. So it looks like it'll be a little bit cooler, probably more rain during CO, but it can be worse.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a balmy upper 70s at the lowest, folks. So it's gonna be a scorcher out there.
Yeah, and based on the pools, it's going to be a little bit there's going to be some salt in the rain here or there.
This fucking guy, your topical FGC and Florida, those two circles are converging, man. That's rather good. Speaking of being in Florida and the community down there, I like to start off the show whenever I have a new guest and let you pitch whatever you have going on. So if there's anything that you want to get right out off the bat, let people know what's going on. What are you doing? Hit me with it right now.
I'm not really, haven't been doing much, but just been showing up to locals here and there.
Yeah.
Florida as a scene, people, with other places, they think there's like one divergent meeting point. There's like a Wednesday night fights that, like everybody converges at. There's an NLBC. Right. The issue in Florida, and people don't realize it's a much bigger state. It's the boot. It's the wiener of the U.S., whatever you want to call it. But it's pretty spread out. Like the difference between even Central Florida and South Florida is, I mean, that's like 5 hours right there. I've actually even never been in South Florida.
Really?
It's a pretty huge state, though. I do have to say that sometimes Jabali will host CEO monthlies, and it'll be at certain places, and it'll be in Orlando. And the cool thing about those is that it brings everybody from around the state. Those are the only like monthlies, besides the obvious major CEO Taku, now bringing guests. But that one, it surprisingly brings people, from all over Jacksonville, Orlando. It's normally in Orlando, Tampa, South Florida, and in between Tallahassee even. And there's a few out-of-towners that usually come to those. But yeah, those are pretty good. He hasn't really scheduled those yet. He's busy doing the main
Obviously,
shindig.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Orlando, we just have, let's see, I could say for all the towns. In South Florida, there's quite a bit. There's actually a lot of action going down there. They have bi-weeklies, and it depends. Like, even the term South Florida is like a state in itself. Like, you can be you could be considered South Florida and you're still 2 to 3 hours apart. And that's what people don't realize. I don't realize sometimes. There's the 10th Level Tavern, TLT. You might see a few people sponsored by those. I mean, representing those this week. Not Kami. Who's the Vega player that you guys sponsored before?
You're thinking of Tourniquet.
Oh, Ramos.
M Lizard. That's no different person.
Oh, okay, no, Ramos.
Yeah.
Ramos.
Yeah. He was up for nomination at some point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's representing 10th Level Tavern.
Right.
They have a few. If you guys are ever in the area or interested, you could actually look on Facebook, and there's the various fighting game groups. So if you want to, let's say, join Tampa Bay, you could just type in Tampa Bay Fighting Game Community, South Florida Fighting Game Community, Orlando Fighting Game Community, even Gainesville has one. Every big city has one. Jacksonville has one. And there's always monthlies. Tampa normally has Tampa Never Sleeps, TNS, on Fridays. They used to have a big annual one, but they do Fridays. It's pretty good. Tong is the one who normally runs that. He's definitely one of the best TOs in the country. I would say the world.
I see him being pretty active out there, and he does a good job of like organizing, not just like running it, but like he's a good organizer. Much respect down there.
Yeah, and because of people like him, Marvel 3 will never die, and it's still pretty big in Florida. You'd be surprised. But
Well,
yeah,
it's
he's
it's it's just it's very interesting for me to hear. I mean, earlier on you're like, there's not much going on, and then you went on to be like, here's everything that's happening in every major city in Florida, which is like, I think that speaks to how the community is, the fighting game community is in Florida. I don't think that many other states can be like, oh, well, there's this here, there's this there, and then we all kind of meet up every month or so at CEO.
Yeah, you're right, but it's just the CO monthlies are probably. I mean, I just call them monthlies because
Right.
they probably happened at least in the past few years. It's happened 3 to 7 times a year.
Which isn't, I think that's enough to call it like a monthly. Because you
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
I think that's fair enough. No, that's cool. Um, speaking
But
of, you've
yeah,
never been
we're
to
pretty
South,
spread.
You've never been to like South Florida, never been to the Keys, anything like that?
No, I actually never have. The furthest south I've ever been, I've done. So I'm a trained classical musician. I've done an Easter
Really?
gig.
There are
Yeah,
so many musicians in the FGC. We're full of we're all either failed musicians or actual musicians.
exactly.
All of us, or bad DJs. Uh, I fit all three,
Man.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you play?
So, I started out in sixth grade as a tuba player.
Okay.
Kept playing tuba. I learned trombone. I learned euphonium, and then I've like picked up a little bit of keyboards here and there. And I have 2 degrees in music, and the most recent one is a master's in trombone performance. So
Oh
trombone is
shit.
my main shindig, I guess.
Oh
But yeah,
shit. Damn.
yeah. The furthest south I was saying, like I think was Cape or near, not Fort Lauderdale, Fort somewhere. Shoot, I have good friends that live there too.
That's unfortunate.
I know.
Putting them on blast. No, whatever.
Cape Coral, I think that's it.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
furthest south. Even then, that's not considered South Florida.
The Keys are interesting because, like, man, I remember the one time I was in the Keys. I went to a Walmart in the Florida Keys, and I'll never forget this experience because it was like going to a. It was. I would have thought that we were experiencing nuclear fallout, and I should have known things were going to be bad before we got to the wall. Because I don't know if you ever go to the Keys, you or the listeners at home, you'll know that there's only really the one road, and pretty much everything that you can get to is off of that one road. And so we turn off, and there's a gas station, and at the gas station, at that right, and the Walmart's kind of behind it. I'm like, we're looking at the gas station, and there's a shopping cart at the gas station that's like still like, and we're like, what's that doing there? And that should have been my tip off that things were going to go south inside of that Walmart.
No pun intended.
Because then you get to the parking lot, and you know all of those like center things where there's that little bit of grass where they put like the lights, the big pole lights. Every single one of those was filled with shopping carts. People just had put them in the center, not in like the little caddy that you put them in. So we go inside. And immediately, as soon as we walk in, I'll never forget this. There was like a display of those those little sugar cookies that have like the sprinkles on top.
Oh, of course.
They're like, that's like all I can. It's that big thick layer of icing. There was a whole display of those, and it looked like someone had went through the entire display and just shook the shit out of every single one. Just like. Every single one, they were just like, just violently shaken, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And then just finding like shoes where the soda is, it was a whole experience. But anyway, Florida's a good time. South Florida's that's a fucking trip, man.
It definitely is, and it has its reputation. I was actually talking to a coworker about today how it's kind of like a city. Some people feel like it always parties. Of course, there's serious areas that it has a reputation for pretty aggressive, terrible, scary driving,
That's no
and
good.
parts of it that, yeah, from what I know, and people definitely said it's true that people don't. There's people there that do not understand a lick of English.
Hey man, you'll have that. That's fine.
And it's
That's
like
fine.
yeah. Oh yeah. I was just saying a fact, and it's a pretty large area. And actually, parts of Orlando are kind of like that too.
Hey, even in Orlando. All right.
It's getting there.
I just remember another time I was in Tampa. This is outside of Tampa. Have you ever? And I know that this might. You know what? I'm not going to incriminate myself on mic. I'm thinking about what I'm about to say, and I don't know if it's a federal offense to do. I may or may not have.
Oh gosh.
Engaged in water activities with a manatee. If I did engage with a manatee in the open ocean, if I had done that, I might tell you it was very cool and that manatees are fucking rad.
Where was this?
Outside. Hey, are you a cop? You have to tell me.
No. I actually grew up in the outside of Tampa, so I was just curious.
I do. I forget the town we were in because it was like a town that like fed into a tributary that went into the ocean. I couldn't remember it. It's been a long time. It was kind of a drive outside of Tampa, though. I want to say it was like an hour outside of Tampa.
So like Homosassa, Crystal River, or something like that.
Crystal River, actually.
Yeah, and so my mom works there. So Crystal River is, I mean, this is so on topic here, is actually, I think, the only place in the country that they have tours where you're legally allowed to touch manatees.
Okay,
like
cool.
That.
So I was not in the, all right. Because every time I think about that time, I'm like, I wonder if I did a crime. I wonder if that's a crime. Okay, fucking cool. Not a crime, folks. We got this cleared up. We're good.
I mean, in my opinion, if they come up to you, sometimes they like to be scratched. And you know, if an 800-pound animal comes up to you, and I guess this counts for people too, and wants to be scratched, and it's kind of cute, you can't say no.
Yeah, man, they're like dogs. It's really fucking wild. They're really cool. Save the manatees, folks. Watch out when you're boating. It's a very serious thing.
Definitely.
But we're not here to talk about boating or the state of Florida. I mean, we kind of are here to talk about the state of Florida, and CEO is around the corner. So tell me about what the CE stands for in
Community Effort, I believe.
Not Championship Edition, as the joke that you had made to me that actually had me, I was like, you fuck. That's a good joke.
Not Championship Edition, Community Effort Orlando, which technically this year I guess it's Community Effort Daytona, but
yeah, that's another story. That's another side story, but is what it is for at least this year.
Yeah, this year and last year, but I know that's a whole giant topic in itself.
Yeah, and
I don't blame Jabali for doing what he did. I think it's a good move. It's just who would have known that. It wasn't the air; it was the people itself, you know, that kind of caused all that.
Yeah, we actually did an episode on that. It was either a week or a week after CEO had happened last year, when they were in Daytona, and I believe he is contractually obligated to be there for at least this year. I can't remember if it was a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I think it was 2 year.
Okay, because then it was like. He knew that we were going to be here again in Daytona, and the community was like, "Hey, this is bad," and there was a whole like debacle around that, and that has been talked about. I don't know if we want to get into that on this show. I don't know if we've allotted ourselves time for that.
Oh no,
it's a very tricky subject that like takes into like how if you want to talk about like homeless shelters and where that even came from in relation to people feeling like they were discriminated against in Daytona. But that's a yikes. Anyway, leading up to CEO though, because the event itself, when you are at the event, it's a good time.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, I was surprised. I've only went to one of the original ones in Orlando. I was surprised how large of a venue this was. Like, I never felt cramped at all. And, you know, that's an issue I've heard in the bad final round. You know, final round has not had a good rap with some people, but there was one year in particular that was pretty bad, and I wasn't there. I just heard all about it. Where, I don't know. but it was very spacious. It was cool on the inside. I could not tell that I was in a hot environment. Like the weather was hot. Like it was cool on the inside. It didn't smell bad. That's how large this venue was. Very well air conditioned, and it was a fantastic time.
That's it. That's actually like people don't realize how super important that is, especially in Florida, where it's the kind of hot where you just are wet. It doesn't. You go outside and you go, "Huh, I'm wet. How'd that happen?" But like being in air conditioning is like becomes super important, and that is cool that they've been able to keep that venue cool for people who may or may not have brought deodorant.
Yeah, exactly.
Fighting
And it
game
was,
community.
yeah, and it was working air conditioning. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's if you stand in the corner. And it's a really good venue. And the thing that kind of makes me sad is that whatever happened last year, there's people who didn't go to the event that were talking how bad it was. I'm like, you weren't there. I mean, I don't know. At the same time, I've been living in Florida. Florida man is basically my neighbor,
Fair
and
enough.
it makes my neighbor. And I guess as terrible as it is, I'm desensitized to some of Florida man's antics. Florida man and Florida woman.
They're a
They're not,
couple. They live together and they're across the street.
well, they're not usually seen in the same street, but they acknowledge each other's presence. I'll
Oh
say
boy.
that.
But like the event itself is cool. It's really, for me, it is, and it has always been interesting to see. Like you said at the top of the show, there's so many communities in Florida, and to have them all in the same place, they're being like represented like at this one event. Like I know that like any time that like Knuckle Dew comes out and does well at that event, he is highly like you claim him when he's down there.
Yeah, I mean, Knuckle Dew is basically he's the face of Street Fighter for Florida. I mean, everybody knows the Knuckle Dew. I mean, he's the guy that he goes into Wednesday night fights, just gets first place, just walks through people, but he's Florida's own.
Absolutely. Well, other than that, anything else about CEO or Florida?
Let's see. Like you said, be sure to bring deodorant.
Oh God, please.
You will sweat. It's the humidity that gets people, I guess. It will be hot, but it might be raining. Who knows? The weather is slightly unpredictable in those
Is it
terms.
buggy yet? Has it been enough months of summer for it to get buggy?
I would say so, yes. And it's on the
Okay.
beach, so that's a little bit different.
All right.
But I mean, just have a good time. There's so many people you'll meet, so many faces that you put, gamer tags names to. That's always the fun part. Meeting people that you've been playing, or you're watching the Reddit tournament on Monday, and you see, those faces. I mean, not faces, the names, and you
Right.
get to put those together. That's pretty cool.
No, there's actually going to be a lot of people who frequent that tournament that will be there at CEO. So it's cool to see that representation down there. I will claim every one of those people. Not that that's like the weird thing where it's like it's not really my like they have their own communities, right? That claim
Yes.
them. But then I'm like, oh, but secretly in the free time, like I'll stake claim to this person who shows up, which is not fair to their communities, but they understand.
There's a few you can definitely claim, like Rushdown. You could definitely claim him. Like he's a man that he lives like in near the Space Coast, but he doesn't really get to go out because they don't really have much in his area per se.
I see.
He's only been out to a few offline events, but he actually won one. I mean,
He's really
it
strong. I give him shit
yeah,
all the time, but he's strong.
very very strong. I mean, he makes a good villain, and you don't make a good villain if you're weak.
Yes, he does make a very good villain. That's been one of my favorite things is tracking his villainry on the Monday and throughout the week. Has been enjoyable. But so aside from CEO, down in that area, down that region, there was something 2050. Tell
Oh
me about
boy.
2050.
So
Tell me about a sports.
sports. So I was actually I when I moved to Orlando 2016, I moved here to try to be successful in teaching music. But anyways, so I found a tournament of theirs, a 5K throwdown on Twitter. I don't know how I found it. And I was like, that's weird. a tournament with a lot of money in Florida, and I've never heard about. I normally know everything that's going on.
Right.
So I hit him up. I said, if you need commentators, I just want to do, because I enjoy doing commentary for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Got through, and they're like, we do it weekly. We online, you could do that. We're actually, and it happened to be like the next town over from where I was living. So that was great.
That's an opportunity. That's just good opportunity.
Yeah, I joined with them, and it was a new group. Their first, out of all the games they picked for esports, they did, they did Call of Duty, but then they did, and Halo, but then, they did Street Fighter, they did Weekly. They can name the characters, but they didn't know their move. They didn't know the game itself.
Right.
I don't know. They didn't know places and stuff. Another interesting thing was, they had rules that were like, and here's where knowing players is very important. They had their online, their online community, and they're like, okay, it's only Americans and Canadians, the continental U.S.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, there was a lot of people in the Gulf of Mexico somehow getting in there claiming otherwise. But anyways, I cleaned it all up. That took a long time. So yeah, it was good until this is a story I have not told many people, and this is gonna be, I guess, breaking news for the podcast. So,
are we allowed to tell this story?
Yeah, I was told not right away, but I'm not. So
fair enough.
So there was a time when I was with 2050. We done like 2 big offline tournaments. We had a really good exhibition between the Dominican Republic versus Team Atlanta, and that was actually really good. But it was like not like you eliminate one. It was like I forget what you call it, where person A plays person B, and then it's like a 5, first to 5, whatever. It was really good,
right?
Really good stuff. Anyways,
yeah, I remember that being a really like fun tournament. There was a lot of very good play.
Yeah, it was at the Daytona International Speedway. That was pretty sick in itself.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, and actually, like, as a part of promotion, 2050 actually got in contact. They're partnering with the Speedway, and I got to do the Richard Petty driving experience. And if you guys are into NASCAR, you can actually drive a NASCAR car on the track. It's called the Richard Petty experience. I mean, it'll definitely.
Did you drive a NASCAR?
Yeah, I did.
All right, I have to stop this podcast for a minute and just pump the brakes. No more Street Fighter for the next minute. Car goes fast.
Oh, very fast. My top speed was 189.
That's fast. That's very fast.
And they actually put there's something that they put in the engine so when you're starting out, it doesn't go past a certain speed.
There's a limiter.
Yeah, there's a limiter, and then they offer if you still want to experience it but don't want to drive, you could do a ride along with a professional, and they go at the top speed.
Right.
But it's something else. I'm not even a big car person, but they did this, and I was like, I'm kind of scared, but I did it.
When you're going fast, do you feel like you're going fast? Is it like?
Yeah, it kind of does, because the car is very loud. It's just like everything. You have to go in through the window. The car is very loud. And fun fact, I'm very bad at driving. Typical Asian guy. So I'm very bad at driving. And I don't know how to drive stick, and that thing is in stick, so I stalled out actually on the side. So the track is very slanted on the curves.
Right.
So I was stalled out on the track basically on my side. So that was interesting. But it goes very fast, and let me tell you, and this was with only me and another car perhaps. The amount of concentration needed to drive those things at that speed is ridiculous.
Even just to be pretty open road, it's just a loop, but you're you're trying to, it's like you're looking for a whiff punish. You are sweating it out. You are.
Exactly. And that was by myself. And I can't imagine with 40 other cars or however many cars there is in a race. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that's kind of buck wild. That's one of the things about NASCAR that I think it's easy to shit on, and I'll shit on it. It's fun and easy. But
yeah.
That seems really fucking difficult to be in a pack like that and not wreck up.
Yeah, and just the concentration. I mean, sure, high level fighting games, there's concentration, but the round ends. You get 5 to 10 seconds. Wipe your forehead. Take a big breath. But with that, you're just. I mean, unless you're in a pit stop, but even then, that's pretty fast. It's just the amount of concentration is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. That's insane. But the event was at the Speedway.
Yeah. So going back, so it was at the Speedway. So anyways, doing well. We got in contacts with Capcom, and they're like, yeah, we've been watching your broadcasts, your weeklies. You guys are doing pretty good. And the guy in charge was like, oh, this is good. This could be a career for you guys. And he's a guy that I don't mind over enthusiasm or over positivity. Positivity is great; it's needed. But when you're like I said, and this is like life past my 20s, I get lured into illusions of grandeur, where it's like,
The rose tints all the way up.
where it's like people were saying, in a year this will be our jobs. You'll have to quit. You can quit whatever you want to do this. I'm like, okay, I wasn't falling for it. No, really. That's what I was told several times by different people. I was not falling for it, but I was like, if that happens, cool. Ride or die of this team, sure, whatever. And, we're getting in talks with Capcom, and, they're like, why don't you make a proposal for something, for which, a collaboration with Capcom. And we're like, okay, we have to make a proposal. So the TO for the online tournaments and we took a long time, and we scheduled out this team league thing. Like, let's do just like we did in our 2 events. Let's have teams representing areas, and this will be done through online. Because it gives everybody a chance, but there have to be lots of rules. Yeah. So we made this like pages and pages of like documents for this league, and it took a while. And I sent it to the CEO of our company, and he's like, "Oh, fix this. I don't like this." Okay, we probably revised it 3 times. So it took a while. He's like, "Okay, I need it done by this date," and stretching it, like really like pushing it, get it done. And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna look it over, edit it, and then send it to Capcom." Cool, man. And so, here I am. I'm nervous because, like, my main thing I want to do is commentary. Like, I commentate everything that I can Street Fighter related. Like, it's not like I want to do for money. I just really enjoy it. I have a good time. I love the game. I love watching it. Everything about it, and I try to spread that joy to everybody.
You just want to do the thing.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, but it's the money." I'm like, I just want to do it for fun. Like, I got the commentate deal last year, and I was just. Sure, I got paid for that, but it was like, it was just being there and getting to do it and have fun. That was the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I was just, every once in a while I'd ask him, hey, have you heard back? No, not yet. No, not yet. Haven't heard back. He's like, they're not really good at contacting. And I was like, yeah, Capcom's really busy. Their American division's really busy. There's a lot. This was like, yeah, before the CPT year. It's like, they're prepping. There's a lot going on.
Okay.
And then one day, how Capcom will announce something? It'll be a tweet. It'll be a tweet or a Facebook post. It'll be connected to the Capcom Unity blogger or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was the announcement of Street Fighter League, right? That's what it's called? The Street Fighter League?
Street Fighter League, SFL.
I was like, oh. That's kind of cool. That sounds like the thing that we worked on, the thing that we proposed. And I sent it to our group chat, 2050 group chat. Said, hey guys, and I didn't even read it yet. Like, as soon as this news got posted, I copied and pasted the link, and I do this sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, without reading, and I'll copy and paste in the group chat. Hey guys, not even a minute later, they're like, wow, they completely copied our idea. And people were legit angry. I mean, I was annoyed. I was like, okay, sure. And in the end, they didn't exactly copy it 100%, but there's definitely ideas taken. And within, this is a true story, not exaggerating. Within the hour, within even maybe 30 minutes, the CEO said, this is not a reputable company. This is, these aren't reputable folks. We are pulling out of fighting games for good.
Wow. That is why they pulled out. That makes a lot of sense, because even as you wrote it down, I was like, man, yeah, 2050 is I haven't heard anything from them. It was the SFL. They janked it.
Yeah, and it was not even within 30 minutes of that announcement in that group chat. He said, we are done. Wow. And I was like, we're done? Like, we
Lights
can
out. Shut it down.
We can kind of, I was like, not even for my sake. I was like, we can kind of milk it. We can make a last show, make a last 2, last 2 online weeklies. Because you guys were Monday, we were on Wednesday. I was like, we can make a last 1 or last 2. and you can gather a lot of viewers, perhaps get some subscriptions in, whatever. No, we are done. That is it, final, and that was it. Like like in Looney Tunes when
Hmm.
Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck's on the stage, and you see that hook grab them. That's basically what
Right by
happened.
the neck, you are off the stage. No more fighting games. We are donezo. Wow. Let me
Yeah,
ask
it
you
was.
this, because I have to pry here.
That's fine.
I have to, because I wanna know some of the details. So, like, when you say the thing that you guys had proposed was very similar, if not let's just say very similar.
Yeah, it was similar. Yes, for sure, definitely.
Did you have like an online component? Did you have like community vote component,
We
team
didn't have.
component?
We had. There was definite team component, 100%. It was definitely online because that's what our CEO like. That's what he liked to do.
Right.
It was like, I want everybody involved. I want all our events to be free. Even our 5K throwdown, where it was like a $5,000 prize pool,
So
that
it's
was
free to enter.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was free. So
Wow.
he's all about that. So it was free, gives everybody a chance in the country, but there's rules, and it's online. So yeah, there's definitely online. There's team based. We thought of three. My idea was three on, 3 players. There's 3 players representing a region. That's what I wanted, more of a region thing.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely teams and there's definitely online components with an offline thing. Once you're qualified, that was in our proposal.
I have to say, my gasps are a little bit flabbered right now. That is interesting.
Yeah, and
Huh.
like, do I hate Capcom? No, I mean I understand. I mean I guess, but I don't hate Capcom at all. I mean I support them. Sometimes stuff stinks. For me, I was like stuff. Yeah, that stinks. Whatever. I'll be with the company. I'll try to root for them, support them, whatever I can.
Wow.
And they went into Rocket League, and I was asked, would you like to commentate Rocket League? And I said, besides there being a car, I know nothing about the game. Well, would you like to learn about it? And I said, with the situations in life, I barely even get to play Street Fighter.
Right.
My free
Yeah.
time almost never goes into Street Fighter, much less a new game.
I feel that.
And it's
I
not
feel that
like,
hard.
yeah, and it's not a new game for me. It's like a game that's been established in the community. Lots of people play Rocket League, and the learning curve would have taken into a whole new genre would have taken so long, a lot of time. And I was saying, I don't. That might make me look back because I'm coming on, and there's people that are like have
Yeah.
expectations for what they want to hear.
You're not coming with you're not going to bring the heat. You're going to be the Rube in the room that everyone knows that you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big opportunities guy, and I like giving people what they deserve. And I feel like if I was doing that, I was taking somebody else's spot away.
Right.
Somebody that might have been putting in the hours, somebody who knows what to talk about. So I was like, and I mentioned those reasons, but I said a lot short, like I just can't do it,
Yeah.
and I honestly don't want to do it too. And what next thing I know, it wasn't immediately after, but I just saw blah 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 has removed you from the group chat. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm done with 2050. I
I guess
guess.
that's over. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I still talk to some of the people there. I mean, I saw one of them the other day. In fact, I'm even with a few of the people that live in Daytona and work with them. I'm trying to get a pre-tournament together tomorrow night, close to the venue, like 15 minutes, I would say, driving wise. I'm still in contact with some of the people there, but yeah, that's the hook. And there's all this talk about esports, go for it, go for it. Oh boy, I can get into the whole Rob TV regional bias, which is real, by the way. You South Californians, don't you yuck at me. It's real. And oh yeah, if you really want to make, oh gosh, this is the thing that gets me. If you really want to make commentary for Capcom, you got to move where the opportunity is. Let me tell you, folks, I was almost moving out of Orlando, and one of the reasons, the things that made me stay was, there's this 2050 thing I'm with. It can Illusions of
I'm
Grandeur, like,
going to
you
stay
know,
here.
yeah, there's a big opportunity I can't say no to. What happened? Blew up in my face,
Back
and
to the trombone.
yeah, it's still tooting, it's still there, and I've seen it. I'm not just saying that's the only esports things. I've seen that happen with lots of
Yeah.
companies. I mean, that company, they're still doing well.
Yeah, that is like time in like that happens has happened continually in the FGC. Like the story that you told is not exactly like unique to any like esports company that tries to get into fighting games and then realizes that, oh, I got fucked. Or this isn't making money, obviously, so I know we invested a little bit here, but we have to pull out entirely because the ROI just isn't there.
Yeah. And, you know, I wish it was a unique case. I wish we were the only ones because I want success for everybody. But, you know, that's just not how it goes.
Just ain't it, man. Like, that's the thing about the FGC that I feel like I have to continually remind people and remind myself that this is a small community. Even at its largest, even at like its peak, the opportunities and the seats that are available are so small. But the one thing that tipped me off before you even started this whole story was one of the first things you said. It was one of the first things you said that I was like, red flag right there. Is there was someone at 2050. They didn't seem to really know much about the FGC, but they wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
That's like red flag number one. Not a red flag. That's like a yellow flag because there have been companies like that. I would bring up Maturino, who was like at their start a couple years ago. They were like, we don't really know much. We don't have much in this space. Like, what's going on here? How do you run things? It was like a yellow flag of like, okay, I'll tell them what this is about. And they listen, so it's like, okay, you're good to go. But if here's the thing for you guys out there. If an esports company approaches you and they tell you that they don't know much about the FGC and they want to get into it, and you start telling them about how the FGC is run, and they respond back by saying, well, this is how we do things over here in this other esports, you throw a red flag at that point. That to me is like, if they're not going to like learn from the people who have been in this space for a long time, then it won't work. But that is,
you know, that's really good advice. And it's easy to forget. It's so easy to forget.
That's my canary in the tunnel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us want to be singing that song, but, you know, there's definitely poison in them dar minds.
Now, I have to ask you, people will be mad at me if I don't ask you.
Of course.
So character bans were your idea, right?
I don't think so.
You can't waffle on. I'm not going to let you waffle on that.
No, there's no character bans or not. No, I'm thinking about it. I have the proposal saved on my laptop somewhere, but I don't, because like when they mentioned character bans, like it sounded new to me, but I wasn't opposed to the idea. I'm not opposed to the idea. Okay.
I'm not saying that it was your, I have to ask, but okay.
Do you like them?
So it's one of those things where initially I was like, fuck no, because this isn't how things work. But then I've come around on it in terms of it is offering, because it actually took me like 2 minutes to turn on it, right? Because I realized immediately that SFL was not for FGC. It's not. It's for people who could be potentially roped into it that aren't currently FGC. Because there's a lot of people who play Street Fighter who aren't FGC, aren't in it. They don't know.
Yes.
And I feel like that would provide a good opportunity for people like that who are like, oh, like this is just like a fun, dumb thing. Here's like good characterizations of these people who are playing, which is a hard thing to get across. And if we didn't have the character bans, there are a bunch of moments this year in the SFL that we wouldn't have had there not been character bans. We might have had totally different moments, but we got Samurai with his clutching it out, and then people banning Samurai Zaku. It's a whole thing, but
there's some interesting moments, like Brian being forced to play Abigail.
Yeah, it got interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But here's my another admission. Since like it was kind of recent when I got kicked out of the group chat and when it started airing, I have not watched a single episode of it.
That's fair. That's fine. I think that's fine because I don't think it's for people who are deeply ingrained. I don't think it's for them. That might not be who they thought that their target audience was, but in my opinion, they were casting a wider net in a different part of the ocean, and I think that's okay. But which is that's the mental gymnastics that I did to be okay with character bans.
For me, it was just the IRL assault of, once again falling into someone's hopes and dreams and like, oh man, this could be it, and then you're sitting there in the sidelines and it's like, wow, I was supposed to be that. Am I salty at it? Now I am, because I got kicked out and whatever, but.
Yeah, that's just fascinating. Of like, here's a company who proposed something, and then they decided, well, we're just going to do it in house. It'll be like our thing. We have a studio over here we can use. We'll just do that. Yeah, and it is what it is. But am I going to watch an episode? No, I don't know. It stings, to be honest. It still stings when I think deep about it. I don't blame you. And with that, I don't think I'll prod that anymore unless there's like, and one more thing.
You're good. I mean, and I have friends in it. I mean,
yeah,
Psycho's in the community. He lives like in the next town, the next subdivision over in Orlando. Who else is on there? I mean, Knuckledude. I'm friends with Knuckledude too. He's Tampa based. I grew up in Tampa. And Brian F. Fun fact, when I got into the FGC 2013 and 14, I was moving to Gainesville for grad school.
Backdoor Fighters.
Backdoor Fighters, indeed. This was pre-Backdoor Fighters. And this was, yeah. And, I posted in the fighting game groups, where's the weeklies, where's the meetups? This is it. And the first week I was there, this guy says, oh, you should play Brian. He's our best player. I said, okay, cool. He sounds kind of familiar. I've seen the name online. Right. And so actually, Brian F. was like one of the people I trained with back then in Street Fighter 4. So, I definitely have connections with people there, but I know for other reasons, I'll support them in other things, but it is, and it is what it is.
All right. Well, that is, that has me kind of like, I'm like reeled back. I was not prepared for that. I was not ready for the bomb that you just dropped. Like that whole like last 20 minutes of this show, me being like, that totally recharacterizes this whole past season. Granted, like the thing itself is fine. I have no issues with that or any of the people that involved or the opportunities that were created thereof. It's just something that had happened in the past and now is just like interesting in retrospect. I don't think there's anything that can be like done about it, but that just, I don't know, that fucking, it's fucking esports for you.
And I was thinking, I've told people who've asked me about it here and there, like, okay, and I've explained the story, but I was like, what is there's no other better way to tell the world about than our Street Fighter podcast. So there you go.
Fair enough. I mean, I was not ready for that. I'm on my heels. You have me on my heels.
Well, there you go. I will take my $5.99 sub towards my stream. Thank you very much.
Oh god, we can't talk about Twitch right now.
I know
the fucking nightmare website. Free A4 Andre, by the way, he's still banned, but don't worry. The person who might have committed a felony he's back on. Don't worry, Mr. Disrespect he's back at it again. He's back to his old dirty tricks.
Pretty wild.
Fun fact: felons are not legally allowed to wear body armor or bulletproof vests, so that's an interesting turn for branding for him, I think. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. If well, who the fuck are we kidding? Nothing is gonna happen. Nothing will ever happen. If you make people money, it doesn't fucking matter. You'll still be in power. That's cool. Don't worry about it. Fucking nightmare world that we live in. We're just in this bummer spiral. Anyway, the thing that is not a bummer spiral, there's some good news. There's good things in fighting games. Lord Problem X. Lord Problem X. He's a lord. My liege.
So is that real?
I'm
a pretty gullible person, so I'm up for anything.
I might know the answer to that, but I want you to believe what you want to believe. I'm basically saying, if you want to believe in Santa Claus, it's totally cool to believe in Santa Claus. If you want to believe in that, you go right ahead and believe that Lord Problem X is a lord. Because I know what I choose to believe, and that he is a lord.
He is to me. I mean, the results he puts on is unreal.
Absolutely, he's the best. He's the Lord. He's the Lord problem. That's a fun bit of. If you don't know what we're talking about, I'll link it in the show notes so you can see his lordship. Which is that put a smile on my face, and I hope it puts a smile on your face. But you know what else puts a smile on my face? There's a new fighting game that came out. If you're listening to this is what fucking month is it?
It came out yesterday.
June. We're recording this on June 26th, but yesterday I embraced a death. I played the Samurai Showdown. I played it for like a little bit. I only had like an hour's time. I just want to kind of like run through some of the characters and see what, because I don't have a lot of time to like invest in like, and I do this with all fighting games too. Like I don't care about like character releases. I don't watch character trailers. I don't do that. I understand people's excitement for it. That's fine, but not for me. But I got into it and was like, damn, there's a lot of like cool new characters, new things to this fighting game that I think is interesting. Do you have an opinion on the Samurai Showdown?
From what I've seen, and I haven't got to play it yet, and the last one I've played was 20 plus years ago, which there's a weird story about that. So okay. I'm definitely familiar with some of the characters, but I was at a small local Tuesday. There's people playing it, and from what I heard, I've only heard good things.
That's cool. It's like that I feel like has been the best thing about this game is that in terms of gameplay, when people play it, I only hear good things, and it's only people having fun. It's not people going, this fucking bullshit. This is a bad game. Because like they did the whole thing where they fixed their input lag. We talked about that on last week's show, I think.
Which is unreal.
It was fucking crazy. From 8 to 4 within a week. Buck wild.
Sent the representative to that guy's house in France?
Yeah, dude. They sent him to Dr. Weed, the weed doctor, his house, and damn, that's insane amount of dedication to the product that you are pushing. But that game came out. It is a thing. There are things that aren't great about it, like the online lobby system from like all reports, and like it's not great. Only 2 people at a time. It's kind of obfuscated a little bit.
Yeah.
The menus are all hilarious. I think the menus are hilarious. It was to the point, like, if this gives you any indication, I went, because the only thing I did was I just hopped in training mode and messed with some characters. Hopped in training mode, I pressed the pause button, and I laughed out loud. I went, this is unreal. It's the...
Don't spoil me. Actually, I need to find this out myself.
I won't ruin the joke for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's just, it's like unconscionable. Like, how could I get it. Like UI is like the last thing to come in any game after you've like done all of like, here's the systems that we've built and the things that this game is capable of. And at the very end, you're like, fuck, we need menus and like font types. And like that. That's fine. It's a fine way to make a game. If you look at like over the years what Street Fighter 4 launched at and where it ended up at, like those games they visually look different. I mean, Street Fighter 5 visually looks different from the start screen from when it first released and what it is now. You won't be able to tell that difference anymore because the original edition doesn't exist.
Yep.
I guess you could actually, if you bought an original copy on a disc and then put it into a PS4 that wasn't hooked up to the internet.
Exactly, yeah, and
you do it that way.
You still see people post pictures of that because some setups and locals they'll do that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's weird, but cool. But no, it's cool that people have been enjoying Sam Show. The menus are hilarious. I won't spoil that very fun joke that they've built into the menus. It's just you just look at it and you go, this is funny. This is This is just funny.
I need to see that because I'm actually going to play tomorrow night when I'm rooming up with my friends.
Specifically, go into training mode and press the pause button, and just be wowed. And I know I'm talking it up, and I'm like giving it this like I'm giving you anticipation. I'm doing a little bit of build up here. It will not let you down. I promise you that. Like it is not whatever you think it will be. And the other thing is like it's a completely capable like. It can do the things in a training mode that you want it to do in a training mode. It's just, oh boy, is it good. It's a good joke, my friend.
Oh man, if I was a YouTube influencer, I would definitely post a reaction video.
I'm going, well, here's the thing. I'm totally going to, because here's the thing that I want to do with it. And if it works out, I want to do it for Street Fighter 5 and other games that have tutorials, is I want to run through the tutorial and I want to, all I want to do is just do like a clean copy, clean read of the words, right? So it's someone saying the words that someone wrote for the tutorial. Because how many times have you gone through a fighting games tutorial and just went XXXX, like just button through it and then see what's asking you to do next, and then you do it because you've played a fucking fighting game before. Yeah. Just to like, see what they're trying to tell you. And it's like, if I were to guess, I don't think many people are actually reading that stuff, because the FGC, in my experience, is like about like 85% illiterate. I'll say that. I don't think people read. That's just my opinion. Having run tournaments as long as I have.
Most definitely. In fact, and the thing I love about Facebook group chats is the ability to give nicknames to people. And this one guy, Jay Caesar, his nickname I gave him is Bodied in Bracket and Spelling. So there you go.
Oh, I love Jay Caesar. He's still rocking Ryu?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, no, don't call him a man like that.
I mean, he's an Orlando boy. I at the locals, someone's like, dude, just pick your Laura. It's pretty decent.
Oh, well. You got to give props to that guy. But solid player, regardless. Been solid player for a while. But anyway, that's kind of my Sam Show take. I think it's fun to play. The menus are funny. I'll probably do a little bit of work with it in the coming days, but we shall see. But the thing is that, like, I don't know. Here's, like, the thing, right? Here's what actually makes me super happy is that every time a new fighting game comes out, it is typical for our Street Fighter to post, like, a congratulations to, like, that subreddit and, like, to that game. And we'll sticky it for the whole week. And it's just nice to do that and see the people from that community come in and be like, hey, this is like cool. Here's like all these tutorials. Like, be sure to like link this, and then you link all this tutorial stuff that shows people where they want to go. And it's been very cool to me that the FGC as it is looking more like people who are just excited about fighting games and pushing towards a tight-knit community, and it is less so about people who are exclusive or people who want to push people away or be elitist. We're pushing away from that, and I think that's a super good thing. Like,
super good.
It's just good because, again, we're a small community. There's not a lot of people. Fighting games are hard to get into, and to see like that community and our community kind of come together and be like, yeah, thumbs up fighting game, like thumbs up MK, thumbs up Eunice, like for all the games that have come out. It's just
even with every Smash that's come out, it's been more inviting to each other. And I've seen that, like even with Ultimate, I'm seeing more names that I'm familiar with in, Street Fighter and MK, like in that game. Like I've seen Chris G play that game. Some other people, it's pretty cool. And I just want every game that comes out to be good. In Sam Show, I'm hoping it sticks.
Sure. I hope it's going to be at EVO, so sure. It's kind of the thing about all of these games is that you hope they stick. It's like with a lot of these games, they don't necessarily have the budget and the marketing budget to like continue to roll. Like Capcom has this huge fucking war chest, right? And they have systems built into their game that allow them to continually make money on it. So that allows them to continually promote stuff and do stuff like the SFL and do cool stuff like the Capcom Pro Tour. Like
exactly.
Like it's working on a different scale than these other fighting games. So it makes sense to me that because of the smaller marketing budgets, you get smaller communities. But that doesn't mean that those games are bad or that make those communities any like invalid at all. It's just is what it is. And it's cool that when you like I said, when we post things on our Street Fighter, people are like, oh, damn, like, yeah, I guess that's a game right now that maybe I'll go check out. It's kind of like ride the wave, you know? It's a good feeling. Other than that, I will say, yeah, you're right. It's cool to people like play Smash and have that just be part of it. I don't know. But
though my prediction is, from what I've seen, there's been a few complaints. Not like the game's bad, but holy smokes is insert character very cheap. Holy smokes is blah stupid.
I kind of see that too, but to me, it's like, I don't know, it's fucking day one, my guy. Like,
exactly.
That stuff is gonna it's gonna feel cheap until someone else finds something that's cheap, and then you go, oh well, yeah, okay, or you fucking learn how to deal with that shit, and it becomes not a big deal. Adaptation is like number one in terms of things that you have to do as a good fighting game player. So like fucking learn it, or cry enough on Twitter, because they seem to be taking people's comments, as it were.
Yeah, and you know, some people are better at adapting to new game than others. Chris G is a good example.
Yeah, he's a solid. There's a lot of good players like that who will like continually do well at like what's the newest coolest thing. Sonic Fox, one of the best at that.
Yeah.
Like with every patch, with every game that he plays, he's like, yeah, I know I am perfect with all of this stuff, clearly.
I'm thinking light years ahead of time and light years ahead of people somehow.
Somehow he has time for all that shit. Or he's just a fucking genius. It's one or the other. But
and a musician as well.
Is he? Oh, yeah, that's right. He is. Yeah, he's a violinist. I knew
he's a violinist.
Yeah. There's so many. Man, so many. But anyway, folks, one last thing I want to bring up before we talk about kind of end of the show stuff. Good article by St. Cola. If you don't follow St. Cola, you should do it. He wrote a very fun read on the importance of character specialists, somewhat through the lens of a particular Zeku player. Is it the best Zeku? Question mark?
God.
I don't know. That's just a funny thing that I like to say based on another article that he wrote quite a while ago. But anyway, that's a good read. It'll be in the show notes. I suggest that you all do it. Kind of one last thing, and it's not in my notes here, but I do want to bring it up because I feel like it's a serious topic, and I'm not going to ask you to comment on this at all. We can move on from it, and I actually probably want to move on from it kind of without talking about it, like, because I want to give the proper credence to it, and I don't want to bank like anything on the show on it because it is so new and so raw. And there's a lot of people who have very strong emotions about it, and you know where I'm going with this, but
I actually don't. Surprise me.
Oh, okay. Well, you might not know. You might not be involved in that community, but a popular streamer, Etika, he took his own life I think it was this past weekend. I didn't know him. There's a lot of people within our community that kind of do know him. A lot of people who would even talk to him personally. And it's for those people, it's just, I feel like there needs to be space here. I'm certainly not the person to talk on it. I certainly have opinions on mental health and where it intersects with being online personalities or being at that level, because it's a different mentality. You interact with people totally differently, and it's one thing that I think needs very specific and very educated advice and educated opinions on that. I just don't feel comfortable doing that on this show right now. So for those people who are grieving right now, I'll say, yeah, grieve. Like that's fine. You need to take off. That's fine. If any way you need to deal with it, that's great. But condolences to his family and the people affected by that. for sure. But
It's
again,
just a lot of people.
oh yeah, extremely popular. Like was involved with the Smash community too, so I'm sure they're feeling it. And it's one of those things that I will, for the people who listen to the show that might have wanted me to say something on it. I will say this is that I plan on having a guest on the show who is educated on mental health, hopefully professionally. So if you are a listener of this show and are a professional in that area, please reach out.
Actually, I have a really good recommendation if you want.
Please do that. We can do that after the show, though.
Yeah.
I would like that contact, just to try and follow all paths. But like anyone who's out there, reach out if that's something. The last piece of advice on that I will say is, hug your friends and do so in person. It's one of those things where you listening to me, this is all impersonal. For as personal as we can make feel, and as much as I don't know, I try to bring I try to be real here. I try to be real with you, but it's there's no replacement for FaceTime.
There definitely isn't.
Like for being right there and getting a read on someone. Like human touch, important. Like these things are important, and there are people that love you, that will be there for you. But again, I'm going to try to have someone on the show because again, this is also something that like affects me. Like I have dealt with clinical depression in the past and continually deal with it because that's not how that shit works. You don't just get over that.
No, you don't. And I've dealt with it too, and it's tough because it's like trying to tell somebody. Okay, it's like here's a comparison. It's trying to tell somebody what it feels like walking on the moon when they've never left the Earth and they never will have the chance. It's that, but I do have to say that slowly but surely the world is, in society is starting to understand that mental health is a thing, and it used to be, because I grew up in the Philippines, like over there, and the culture is, it's like you don't talk about that, like anything that's mental health, you're loony. And it's sad because that's how my family grew up. Brothers and sisters have their issues, and it's getting better. People are starting to take it in and work with it, but the world is society. It's changing every day, and some things for the better, some things for the worse. But at least I could say that looks like understanding mental health. It's slowly getting better.
Yeah,
as a whole.
And hopefully, I'll have the time to put together a show that can speak to that with some authority.
It's tough.
Yeah, because I'm like, you guys, this has been said in a number of places. Like, you guys don't need, or maybe you do, I don't know. At least I feel this way, is that you don't need me to tell you that, like, that your depression is valid and that there is strength in admitting that you need help. Like hopefully I don't. But if this is your first time hearing that, that is totally valid, and your thoughts and feelings are valid on that. But the only other thing I'll say, and we can, I didn't mean to talk this long on this topic. That's and like it's fine. I just, again, I don't want to lean into on that, but like this is a continued thing. You'll see a lot of people banking on this, and like there's a lot of hashtags out there, but like to any of those people, I will say, like, because there's a lot of people in my life who I really only interact with online who like will actually reach out. Those are the real ones. Like those are the people who are important in your life. But hug your friends, folks, and hopefully you do so in person. That's all I'll say about that.
I have to say that to tie it into FGC, that I have lots of circles of friends, in different hobbies. Like I was really big in the fishing hobby. Like I have a circle of friends there. I worked at a reptile farm for a year, so like the reptile friend, that's another circle. Musician friends,
race cars. You're fishing, deep sea fishing. You're wrangling some crocs, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Living a buck wild lifestyle from the Philippines.
I have to say that the community of friends from the fighting games, to me, that's the best out of all of them for me. And that's the most supportive group of people. And I'm definitely thankful for having them, because those are I'm in multiple fighting game group chats. we talk about all sorts of things, and we're there for each other. I'm thankful for that, and this is another thing. You never know what you can get into with fighting games. That's one thing I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
Sure, I got dumped with the esports thing, but I will forever be thankful for my fighting game friends out there.
You never know where it's going to take you.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I did not ever expect that I would self-publish a book ever. I never intended to, but here we are. Oops. It's all published. All right. So anyway, let's end on a good note because I think it's time to say some good shit. And then we can end the episode. I know that I said this was like the last thing, but this is the last thing. On hearing this, folks, the Matcherino should be up for the Evo sponsorship. We got Born Free, Jester Power, Maureen. Check out all that merch. It's super fucking good. Quasi is he's a fucking god. He's incredible. The work that he does in such a short amount of time is so personal. It is so pure and good. And I love it. And I love him. Also, in addition to that merch, if anyone can track with this, we are selling the Very Cool Dog shirt. Very Cool Dog we're selling that shirt.
Yeah, man.
And it is very cool. That dog is very cool. So for those of you who were upset that we weren't sponsoring a Very Cool Dog, here's how you can show your support to a Very Cool Dog. And if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, you are obviously not as cool as the Very Cool Dog. That's just all I have to say about that. You need to get down with Very Cool Dog. He cool. Or she cool. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know the gender of Very Cool Dog. Very Cool Dog has not been open enough about me with that, but Very Cool Dog did steal my hot dog. They're a piece of shit. God damn it, do I love them. Fuck.
Oh, wait, there's a quick thing I have to mention. I just,
Sure.
as I pulled up the Reddit, I guess there's news that just got announced that
Right now?
Capcom, 5 hours ago, there's a CPT 2019 Asia Super Premiere at Tokyo Game Show with a $67,000 prize pool.
That's fucking money, dude.
46,000 for first place.
Damn.
So there you go.
That's good. That's money.
Money in Street Fighter. It's there.
You got to go to Asia for it.
Yeah.
Which is also fine. Tokyo is fucking rad. If you've listened to this show long enough, you'll know that I had a fucking incredible time in Tokyo. Would go again. Do you know when that is, actually? Is there a date on that?
Let me pull it up really quick.
Have it up? I'll wait, because I'm trying to pull it up here, too.
Yeah, it said posted 5 hours ago.
Shit,
Let's see. September 14, 15.
September 14, 15. Okay. All right. Mark your calendars, folks, for the super premiere because shit, dude, that's like a good fucking time. And you could probably hit up Tokyo Game Show, right?
Yeah.
Is
and
that open to public? I don't fucking know. Probably.
I think it is. And the thing that's so sick, I love watching Japan Cup and all that. Evo Japan is seeing all those online Japanese warriors, that they never show up to events, but they will go to that, and see them do work. That's to me one of my favorite things.
Hell yeah. All right, that's some fucking good news. I'm down for it. Well, cool. Yeah. Mark your calendars, folks. All right, that's a show. We have to end this show the only way that I know how. Whenever there's a new guest, I have to ask. I'm legally bound. It's in my show rider that I have to ask you these two questions as the dogs are barking. They're coming in hot. They're excited.
They're ready.
Is it more than one dog?
Oh yeah, right now 2, and there's a third coming in.
3 dogs? You got 3 dogs?
There was 5. That's all I'll say.
You had 5 dogs?
It's not mine, but yes.
Oh shit! What kind of dogs are we talking about? This is actually very important. This is not the question that will end the show, but it's very important that you answer the question of what kind of dogs you got.
They're all mixes. One's a pit bull mix, one's a Shih Tzu mix, and one's a white fluffy dog mix.
Okay, white fluffy. Are we talking
I can send pictures.
Like hair or fur? When you say
hair.
White fluffy, hair. Okay, all right. That because there's the kind that have the hair that are big, white, and fluffy, and then there's the kind that have the fur that are big, white. Anyway, that I think characterizes the dogs. But we can get to the question. You're fine. It's not really even coming up on the mic. I heard it in the background, and I had to ask. Or Brick would. He wouldn't let me live that one down if I didn't ask. Anyway, 2 questions. Comes in the first part of the question is, what is your favorite normal attack in any fighting game?
I would say based on looks, Urian stand medium punch. That just looks good.
All right. You're in it for the aesthetic. Okay. What about that look do you like?
I don't know. There's just something about it. The way it looks, its effectiveness, it's just good all around. Oh, there's something about. I don't even play Urian.
It's just like a solid punch. No, I agree. It's a good looking punch. He like, I think what looks good about it and the way that he sells it is that it's a punch in a way that a human would throw a punch, but also like he's not throwing his shoulder into it as much because he's punching down at someone almost, like because he's a tall guy. So he's like gonna punch you in the it's like as if a tall dude were to punch you down at you in the chest.
Yeah.
It's like he turns the hips, he turns like the shoulder, and it's like, here's my fist right in your fucking face. I love it. No, it's a good button. It's a great button, in fact.
Another one too is Hugo stand fierce in Street Fighter 5. Oh, Street Fighter 4.
Oh yeah, that's a very good one. I like that. The big elbow has armor, very good.
Anti-airs, it does a lot, and it's an overhead.
And it's an overhead. Man, Hugo was great. He was great in that game. He was so much fun to play. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was my main.
He was a lot of fun. He had I will to this day defend that his crouching hard kick was a great button. The butt rush was great, like a actual great button. Because when you do all the math and you say 13 frames overhead, can't react to it. Trades with some reversals, is an overhead, deals like a buttload of damage and stun, causes a knockdown. Those things are fucking great. You look at all that shit. What a great button. They can't react to that. Too fast.
It definitely was.
We don't talk about the recovery frames. We're not going to talk about that. All you're going to hear is that good shit in the front. That's all the good shit. But yeah, that's cool. That big fucking L. It made him bigger. That button was cool.
And he's the only grappler with overheads.
Yes, he was.
And it wasn't just one. Like half his buttons are overheads.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it's something that like no, false. Technically, Abel has an overhead.
Oh, Abel. Okay, Abel doesn't count.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you want to characterize it, like it's one of those things where it's those like characters that are kind of grappler, kind of not.
Yeah, you can count him. You're right.
He didn't necessarily have the 2-frame command grab, but he's kind of there a little bit with the tornado. But fair enough. That's I think right. But anyway, cool. I'm for it. Those are good answers. There's a second part of this question though, which is, what is your favorite combo in any fighting game?
That's so hard because you could just be like, oh, the Iron Man Infinite, but I guess the basic one, the one that's like, man, this is tough, and I maybe landed it once, was the Nemo combo with Rolento in Street Fighter 4.
Oh, okay. You want to describe that combo?
It's nothing particular. It's when you combo, like let's say Fierce into EX Stinger. Mm-hmm. And it has to be frame perfect, and then you have to do frame perfect. I forgot the name of his attack, where he rolls back and does the overhead move. Mekon, something, sandwich thing, whatever his move was.
I don't know the official name. I just called it the roll. He did the roll into the jump for the hop overhead.
Yeah, and it's really tough. And like you saw Nemo landed, like he never dropped it. And it doesn't look tough, but that was legit tough.
That dealt like a fuck ton of damage too.
A lot of stun, yeah. It's really tough. Oh yeah, Nemo plays like a maniac, but when it was tough. Like he plays very tough. Like that's one. Another, I just like some simple combos. Another, I guess, is in Street Fighter 4, Bon-Chan doing with Sagat, the 3 crouching jabs into like uppercut. because they're all one frame links and they're with jab, and you can't plink them unless you're on arcade or something.
Yeah, there is something to that feels good when you land 3 1-frame links in a row into your cancel. I'll agree with that. That does feel good. I played Vega a lot in Street Fighter 4, and his jab. I mean, I played like Zangief, and I would always go for his crouching light kick combos because they were optimal. Even though it became a 2-frame link in the latest version, but it was a 1-frame link for the longest time.
And you can blink it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that makes sense. But like Vega, I played Vega for a long time. His crouching light punch, that's all that I would do before I went to crouching medium punch, because that's an easy combo to drop. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And by then you have enough, you've stored up enough charge for the EX Barcelona. Anyway, no, cool answer. Good answer. Those are fun combos. All right. Before we end the show, though, good answers. Is there anything else that you want to share before we close out this episode?
Well, just, for you guys tuning in to CO, it's going to be a good time. If you're there, come say hi to me. I know, as much as I want to show myself, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, good times. What else?
They can follow you at Jocks in a Box, and there are underscores in between all of those words.
Yes, and that's JOX. So yeah, follow me, Jocks in a Box. It goes same with Twitch as well. If you, if you're a TO, I will like to do commentating for your events. There's that too. So yeah, I'd like to be known as a commentator, but yeah, I also compete. So I'm going to be competing this weekend as well.
Awesome.
And also, I can end on this note. State-wise, I would say Florida's the strongest in the U.S. Drop the mic. That's what I feel.
I don't know a Floridian who would disagree with you. Let me put it that way. I don't know a single Floridian who would even consider disagreeing with you.
I'll say top two.
Hey, you can. I think you can say that and drop the mic and walk away. I will listen to that argument. But that's the show, folks. If you want to voice your complaints, make sure you send them to @JocksInABox with underscores in between each of those. That's a show. You can find me at Super Joe Monday or at Reddit SF on Twitter.com, or head over to our Street Fighter and find me, Joe_Monday. A new thing. We're going to try questions. If you have questions, there's an email account, a new one. I'm going to link it down below. You can just send, your questions to. If you have questions, I'm going to do a question show. I might even have a call-in show. I've considered different ways of doing that. We might have a call-in show. That might happen in the near future. It just depends on how easy it would be for me to run audio from a burner phone into this computer and get shit working. We'll see. But that email is rsfradioquestions@gmail.com. It's rsfradioquestions@gmail.com. So if you have questions, I'll have answers. I will have answers. There's already some stuff that has been sent into that email address, and I look forward to answering those questions. We'll get to it. But that's for another time. That's a show, folks. Don't forget about the tournaments on Mondays and Fridays, and be with us every Thursday morning or night, depending on when we record this episode, on another edition of RSF Radio. But until then, folks, take care. And take care of each other, please.
See you guys.
Hug your friends in person. Please do it. Please, please, please. All right. That's a show. We're out. Take care.